Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well today. We're going to pick up with our read along where we left off. Rivers, valleys, and mountains. Time to go. It's time to go. Oh, I doubt that's how she read that actually. We've got to think about how we're reading this. Time to go. It's time to go. Though Soft Rain heard Mother's voice, she continued dancing, dancing while Grandmother and Green Fern watched. Step, step, toe down, heel down. Faster and faster she moved, rattling the pebbles in the terrapin shells tied to her legs. Shucka, shucka went the pebbles. Shucka, shucka. From far away she heard Mother's voice again. Wake up, Soft Rain. The chief just came to tell us it's time for us to go. Reluctantly, Soft Rain opened her eyes and sighed. It had been a pleasing dream. She ate her morning bread in near darkness, for the sun was not yet awake. In the dimness, she watched the preparations for her journey west. Wagons were loaded with baskets and boxes of supplies. Then the people, unable to walk the trail, soon crowded into the wagons, and drivers inspected the wheels before climbing on board. The chief rode back and forth from the front of the line to the rear, giving orders to the drivers and other leaders. The sun was high overhead before he told Mother, Soft Rain and Aunt Key to get in line. When Soft Rain heard his call, Move on, echoing down the line of waiting Saligi, she turned for a last look at the mountains she was leaving behind. Ooh, that's sad. They wound their way through the dense woods along the Hiwassee River until they heard cries. Take off your moccasins, wade in. All children in the wagons for the crossing. You're going to have to cross the river by feet, on foot. Before she knew it, Soft Rain was lifted into a wagon that was just starting across. Mother and Aunt Key waded into the river, only able to keep from tumbling into the swirling water by holding onto a rope someone had tied to the wagon. With the first jolt, Soft Rain fell into a stranger's hands, hands that held her tightly during the crossing, keeping her from being tossed about. You are safe, little one, the stranger said. But Soft Rain didn't feel safe, and she didn't look at the stranger who tried to comfort her. She couldn't bear to open her eyes, fearful of seeing the Uktana bright crested forehead, and even more fearful of seeing Mother or Aunt Key get carried away by the river. When she was at last helped from the wagon, she ran to Mother's outstretched arms. Did you see the Uktana? She stammered. It is said the Uktana lives in calmer waters, Mother answered. They slept beside the river. Soft Rain felt safe again, lying between Mother and Aunt Key, listening to their gentle snoring. On the afternoon of the third day, another call echoed along the line of the Saligi. The Tennessee River. The people cried. Soft Rain gasped when she saw the wide river and the odd-looking flat boats approaching the shore. I will wade across the river too. I will not go on the white man's boat, Aunt Key exclaimed. The next day a dense fog rolled over the river. Until it lifted, no one could cross. Late in the day, when walkers were able to board, Soft Rain took Aunt Key's hand in hers. Stay with me, she said. Aunt Key gently squeezed Soft Rain's fingers as they walked onto the boat together. Soft Rain stepped cautiously over the planks until she reached a railing. Looking down at the water, she searched for Uktana, but she didn't see any horned monsters. She closed her eyes, not opening them again until she felt the boat stop. As she left the boat, she saw the chief giving money to white men who had guided it. She wondered why they were paying to be taken where they didn't want to go. Something about hard times like this, and even with the coronavirus that we're experiencing now, is that through hard times, people show up and their good hearts are there. So the man who was helping her across the river, even though it wasn't his responsibility, he did that. Just like in the world today, the people who are giving money to help businesses stay open when they don't have to do that. Dolly Parton is reading books on Thursdays to kids. Good night. She doesn't have to do that. So through hardship, good hearts always shine, and that's something that I've noticed. And even with Aunt Key, she didn't want to go on that boat, but her good heart showed up when she asked when Soft Rain asked her to. So that's just something to keep in mind. No matter how hard the times are, there's always these good things that are going to show up and shine, and you can focus on those. So it's a beautiful part of the story to me. Across rivers, valleys, and mountains, the soldier with the shiny belt buckle had said he was right. Since the river crossing many days earlier, they had climbed several mountains, steep mountains. He hadn't said that the wagons would get stuck in the streams or have to be pushed up the rocky hills, that the animals would be beaten when they couldn't pull the load, and that the old people would have to trudge up the rough roads. He hadn't said that the nights would be so cold. While Mother and Aunt Key made their packs for the day, Soft Rain's gaze fell on two old ones. She was looking at them. Grandmothers being carried away to be buried in shallow mountain graves. So there's people dying on this trip. There was no time to bury the dead properly, for each morning they started walking early. The old ones reminded Soft Rain of Grandmother. In her mind, she saw Grandmother sitting by the hearth telling stories and putting her hand on Soft Rain's face. "So I can see you laughing," she always said. Soft Rain blinked away the tears, thinking that at least her grandmother would not die far away from home. There was another mountain to walk down that day. On the winding road, Soft Rain could see the long line of Siligi they followed. She had become used to hearing low cries and moans, but she was startled by an eerie death wail coming from beside the trail. There she saw a young, barefoot woman kneeling by a small grave. "They were just babies," she screamed. "My babies! Was it my fault? I had no milk for the little one." Mother and Aunt Key hurried to her side. "How long have you been here?" Mother asked. "The older one died 4 days ago," she sobbed, "right after the baby was gone. He coughed and couldn't breathe." Her hand smoothed the hard earth of the little grave. "They were buried together when the others left. I couldn't leave my babies by themselves." Aunt Key helped the woman stand, then whispered to her words Soft Rain could not hear. Mother gave her a small piece of meat with bread. "You can do nothing more here. Come with us," she said, putting her arm around the young woman. Ooh. Soft Rain found a stick which she stood upright between the stones on the grave to mark the place, she thought. As they walked slowly away down the mountain, the mother kept turning back until the small grave was no longer in sight. Soft Rain took her trembling hand. For a part of each day, Soft Rain held the woman's hand as they walked, hoping to be a comfort to her. Late one afternoon, while crossing a small stream, she heard the woman groan as she bathed her bleeding feet. Pointing to a nearby wagon, Soft Rain said, "There are shoes in some of the boxes on the wagon. When they forced us from our homes, the soldier did not give us time to dress properly or take any belongings with us," the woman cried. "I will take nothing from the Unakas." That's what Aunt Key said until her moccasins wore through. I could see her toes. Mother finally persuaded her to take shoes. At first they were so stiff that they blistered her feet, but now she walks well in them. "Humph," the woman grunted. The black clouds darkened the sky. Early they walked on. When the rain began, Soft Rain was holding the woman's hand. I want to go back. She said that out loud. Soft Rain did. I can tell because there's quotation marks. At first, they were so stiff that they blistered her feet, but now she walks well in them. "Humph," the woman grunted. I want to get into the inference about why that woman would say humph. So what do we know about her? We know that she blames them for her babies dying, which is absolutely correct. And we know that she doesn't want to take anything from them, but we know also that she is desperate for shoes because her feet are bleeding so profoundly. And we know that she finally takes a pair of shoes, and then someone says, well, Soft Rain says, now she walks well in them. The inference, this woman, when she says, she's not even wanting to give the white men any credit for any good that they've done for her. And that's what that reaction means. She's like, they gave me shoes, but like, what is that in comparison to everything we have lost? So even though it's just a humph that the woman grunted, there's a lot of power in that humph, in inferring that. And that just comes from really visualizing and thinking deeply. Though the black clouds darkened the sky early, they walked on. When the rain began, Soft Rain was holding the woman's hand. The blanket Mother threw over their shoulders kept them dry for a while. Evening came and the rain continued. That night the 4 of them crowded into a tent they were given. It kept the rain off, but the ground was cold and wet. When morning came, there was more rain and mud, days of trudging through mud, until at last the line slowed to a stop. They heard groans, murmurings, a voice saying, "River, another river to cross." And we're going to stop there. They're having to cross a lot of rivers. The next chapter is called The Barn, so maybe they're going to get to rest in a barn. I don't know. I've not read this book before. So until next time, bye guys.